So the cookout. It's the Matt Blatt Nissan July Blowout. Get a cooking hot deal. New Nissan Sentra SV, just $159 per month lease. Or Kicks S, just $199 per month lease. And 0 security deposit.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
New Nissan Rogue, 0 down and 0% financing for 36 months. Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Blatt Nissan and drive home a new Kicks S, just $199 per month. Or Sentra SV, only $159 per month lease. Both with 0 security deposits, $29.99 too. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Plus tax tag and 589.3. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RL544560 and RY282964. Central lease selling price $23,694. Kick selling price $22,944. Offer ends 8/6/2024.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night as we count down to the MLB All-Star Game today. We're here right here on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We got the All-Star Game coming up for you to check out tonight. Not one, not two, but three Phillies in the starting lineup. We'll get some thoughts on the state of the Phillies at the All-Star break. Plus, we are 1 week from training camp. The Eagles report the training camp at this time next week. The Birds will be in Philadelphia. The whole gang will be there. Everybody will be lining up and reporting for duty. So get some thoughts on the Eagles. A lot to get to here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on a Tuesday night. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So I got some thoughts on a couple different points, but I want to start. We'll get to the Phillies in just a bit. But we are a week away from Eagles reporting. And I think this is going to be one of the most interesting seasons in Eagles history. And part of the reason why I think it's interesting is because the expectations are maybe not as high as I think they should be. I don't think people realize that this Eagles team could and should be in the conversation for a championship team. Now, maybe I'm not the only one who thinks this, because this is what Charles Barkley said to John Clark on the Takeoff podcast when Clark asked this.
What's the better bet? Phillies winning the World Series or the Eagles winning the Super Bowl? Which one you taking?
Eagles winning the Super Bowl. They got all the pieces. Obviously got to replace Fletcher and Jason, but they had a great draft, and they still got most of the players they've had the last couple of years when they made that Super Bowl run. So, in my opinion, I'm picking the Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Eagles are tied for the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills at plus 1,500. And I've told you guys before here on 97.3 ESPN, the fact that people keep rating the Buffalo Bills so highly is so disrespectful to the other teams in this league. The Bills don't have a better roster than the Houston Texans. They don't have a better roster than the Green Bay Packers. They don't have a better roster than the Philadelphia Eagles, but they're right there with those teams in terms of the best odds to win the biggest game of the NFL season upcoming. So, why are the Eagles looked at the way they are while a guy like Charles Barkley is so overtly willing to say, yeah, I'm going with them? And I think it gets back to the perception of Jalen Hurts. This perception that Hurts is a mediocre quarterback or not a great quarterback or whatever explanation you want to put on it. Adam Schefter this morning on Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN on what kind of pressure that is on Jalen Hurts this year.
Jalen Hurts had a down year last year. I think he'd admit that. The entire organization and offense did. So, look, when you have professional pride, you take it upon yourself to bounce back the next year. There is always going to be an inordinate amount of pressure on the coach and the quarterback. And in the case of Jalen Hurts, who struggled at the end of last year, it's amplified some. But, again, it doesn't change the fact that he's got to produce or he's going to hear criticism and all the issues that came up the second half of last year.
There's a lot there. I will admit that. It's not as simple as just reacting to one part of what he said. But the 2 points I want to focus on what Schefter said is he said Jalen Hurts knows he did not have a great year last year. I think Jalen Hurts knows the team didn't have a great year last year. But I think what gets overlooked in all this is that Jalen Hurts, for the most part, did his job. We're acting like Hurts had this like horrible season and that he was the reason why the Eagles collapsed down the stretch. And I think it's so wrong. I think it's just so ridiculous to me that we are at a point where there are literally people who look at the Eagles and they are down on them because of a quarterback who, for the most part, did his job. You know, he had 22 passing touchdowns in 2022, 23 last season. He had more passing touchdowns last year compared to the year before. You know, that year when he was a MVP candidate. He had more rushing touchdowns last year than the year before. You know, that year when he was an MVP candidate. So why are we acting like Jalen Hurts is the problem? I don't think Jalen Hurts is the problem at all. I think what the real problem in all of this is we are not judging the Eagles, the team, and we are overjudging the quarterback. You know, Jalen Hurts doesn't get on that top 10 list. Who cares at the end of the day? He wasn't a top 10 quarterback going into 2022, and they got to the biggest game of the year. They had a chance to win the Super Bowl. And then Patrick Mahomes happened. And Patrick Mahomes, by the way, is going to be to this generation of quarterbacks what Tom Brady was to the previous generation. The dude who just ruins everything. How many quarterbacks could have won championships if Tom Brady wasn't dominating the league for 2 decades? You could argue Peyton Manning is fortunate to have won a couple championships. Because Brady, you got to take out just the ones that he won. How many Super Bowls did he get to? And he beat people that maybe could have won themselves. We overlook that part of the conversation maybe a little bit too often. We forget how many AFC championship games Tom Brady won. He beat Phillip Rivers one year. That's one quarterback that could have won a championship. Remember, the Patriots beat the Raiders in the Tuck Bowl game. So Rich Gannon would have got another shot. Joe Flacco missed his first time he got to a championship game. Could Joe Flacco be a 2-time Super Bowl champion if it wasn't for the 2011 season when the Patriots beat them in the championship game? Again, I'm just putting it out there. There's always that possibility that other quarterbacks could have gotten more opportunities, but that guy Tom Brady was in their way. And as I said, even the years didn't win the championship. Like the year that he lost to the Eagles, they barely beat the Jacksonville Jags in the championship game. It could have been Blake Bortles versus Nick Foles, for goodness sake. You probably feel a little less excited about that championship, but still. They barely beat the Rams the next year. So Pat Mahomes beating Jalen Hurts, I don't take that as a negative against Hurts. I look at that as he lost to the best quarterback on earth. I don't care what Mike Greenberg says. Patrick Mahomes is number one, and there's no one else close. So if you're Jalen Hurts and you're the Eagles, you're going into this season trying to be better than last year. Well, what exactly is better than last year? You started the year 10-1. You had a horrible end of the season. You fired almost all your coaches, not named Nick Sirianni. You rebuilt the coaching staff. You recalibrated the roster. And you're hoping to improve on a team that was 7th in scoring last year. See, no one talks about what the Eagles actually did last year overall. People just talk about what the Eagles didn't do or how they failed at the end of the season. No one talks about what they actually did do. Again, it's not like we have to act like it was all Jalen Hurts' fault. Lane Johnson on the problem with last season was what?
I think we had trouble making in-game adjustments. Some blitz packages, we had a hard time, especially in that Tampa Bay game. I think when you really go and watch that, that was kind of the, last two raw for us, but it just seemed ugly. I feel like the effort was never a problem, but we were just very frustrated as to why things weren't rolling our way. So that's the best way I could to describe it, but it felt like the practice, the effort was never the question.
Okay, so it sounds like a coaching problem last year. Hey, Brandon Graham, what went wrong last year? What do you think?
I didn't think we had all the right coaches in the proper spots that could help us, whatever Decide's message was, because it was just a bunch of miscommunication. That's all. That's what I would just say. It was just miscommunication that I know Howie regretted after the season.
I didn't hear anything about Jalen Hurts from either one of those guys. It all sounded like a coaching problem last year. There were a lot of people who wanted Nick Sirianni fired after last year. But now we're coming into the 2024 season, and it's almost like we conveniently forget what happened last year. And now all of a sudden it's, well, was it Jalen Hurts' fault? Well, Jalen Hurts got to be better than he was last year. Jalen Hurts in his last 50 games has fewer turnovers than Dak Prescott and Josh Allen. But hey, Jalen Hurts had a bad year last year. Did he though? Sure, he didn't play like an elite quarterback last year. But Jalen Hurts had the third most come from behind victories in the NFL last season. And he had the second most game-winning drives in the NFL last year. That doesn't sound like a quarterback who stunk it up last year. And I know you guys are saying, well, they lost those games down the stretch. They did. But in the game they lost to the Cardinals 35-31, Jalen Hurts had 3 passing touchdowns and a 78% completion percentage. How about the game they lost to the 49ers? 1 touchdown, no interceptions. They lost 42-19. Is it Jalen Hurts' fault that the defense gave up 42 to the 49ers and 35 to the Cardinals? Is it Jalen Hurts' fault that the Eagles' defense, a couple weeks apart, allowed 25 and 27 points to the Giants' offense? See, this is the problem I have with these conversations. Everybody wants to blame somebody, and the quarterback becomes the easy target because some imbecile wants to say that Jalen Hurts is not the best quarterback in the league, or he's not a top 10 quarterback or a top 5 quarterback. I think that we are judging these quarterbacks incorrectly. And that's why I liked what Adam Kaplan told Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash, that when you factor in aspects of who a quarterback is that are actually tangible, right? Football intelligence, leadership, coachability. Jalen Hurts has got all those in spades. And there's no way you can tell me that Jalen Hurts shouldn't be the quarterback of this team. So why are people so ready to tear this guy down, blame him for stuff that is not his fault, paint a picture that he is not a good quarterback, and people seem very reluctant to stick up for him and speak up on his behalf? Something to think about. Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Of course, game night being brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions. Return to Tropicana Atlantic City showroom for the boxing event of the summer, Friday, July 26th, where undefeated junior middleweight Justin Figueroa returns to action on Friday, July 26th, as well as Absegami High School's Bruce Selden Jr. and top-rated heavyweight boxer Otto Wallen. Get your tickets now. Ticketmaster.com is where you get your tickets right now for Friday, July 26th, to come out and watch the fights with 97.3 ESPN. I will be there. We will be watching the fights together, all of us in the same area together. But you got to get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com so you don't miss out on your opportunity for the boxing event of the summer, Friday, July 26th at Tropicana in Atlantic City. All right. We'll check on the text board coming in next at 609-403-0973, as well as getting some conversations about the Phillies, because Jim Duquette was on with Mike Gill in the Sports Bash yesterday, and he made some interesting comments about what the Phillies should or shouldn't do. And I got some thoughts on what the former general manager in baseball, of course, former general manager for the Mets and other teams. We'll get his thoughts coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennick hanging out with you as we are leading you up to coverage of the Major League Baseball All-Star Games. We are your home for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, along with Sunday Night Baseball and more. Eagles football in South Jersey, Sixers and Flyers, all right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget, you can hear the game, the All-Star Game tonight on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app as well, powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. Timmy, everybody. buddy. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Total Wireless has made the totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your 4th line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
There he is. It's Agent 00 Chicken. Every move he makes, every chance he takes is to get to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. And nothing will stop him from getting there. Because he knows that right now, he can get a 3-piece world-famous chicken box, white or dark meat, or chicken tenders for just $8, with a portion of each chicken box sale donated to a local charity. Plus, he can register to win world-famous chicken for a year. That's 3 pieces of hot, juicy, moist, and tender Royal Farms world-famous chicken for just $8. Come to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. It's a real thriller, but it's only for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms. No purchase necessary to enter or win. And September 2nd, 2024. Chicken for a year prize to be awarded as 8 $100 Royal Farms gift cards. For details and official rules, visit royalfarms.com/chicken-palooza. Void where prohibited. Sponsored by Royal Farms.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh. We told you.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
This radio commercial was made to convince you to stop speeding. We can't use siren sound effects on the radio, so we'll use other equally jarring sound effects to get your attention, like telling you that whether you drive a little over the speed limit or a lot, you can crash just the same. You could hurt yourself or worse, others.
I'm at the scene of the collision.
And the damage you cause will be beyond repair. See, we didn't have to use crash or siren sounds after all. Speeding catches up with you. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects, but you got the idea. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network. The 2024 MLB All-Star Game is tonight. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The MLB All-Star Game is tonight with 6 total Phillies in Texas who made the trip. With that being said, it got us thinking here at 97.3 ESPN. With all of the All-Star festivities and the 4 major sports making changes over the past couple of years, are you still interested in watching any type of All-Star Game in any sport? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN
free mobile app. Yeah, I still like the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. I think it's the best one. I think the spectacle is the best out of the 4 majors. The Pro Bowl, forget about it. NBA, forget about it. Hockey's not bad. 3-on-3 is kind of cool, but the MLB still has the best All-Star Game, in my opinion. I'll still be tuned in, even though the World Series home field advantage should still have some implications. Let us know once again, 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
From playtime to showtime, Atlantic City always serves classic summer fun with a twist of cool. Visit AtlanticCityNJ.com to win an overnight getaway.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. One more really hot day tomorrow, and that humidity gets zapped from our atmosphere. Temperatures return to more seasonable, reasonable warmth right through the upcoming weekend. There is a chance of a thunderstorm tonight. Otherwise, partly cloudy and muggy. Low only falls to 77. 94 tomorrow. One more steamy day with sunny clouds. Widespread thunderstorms with heavy rain likely tomorrow afternoon and evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
This summer, book a charter boat off the Jersey Shore. Give your friends and family a fresh adventure, a day of ocean fishing they'll talk about for years to come. You'll be the hero of the summer. Go to marinefishing.nj.gov.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Before we dig deeper into the Phillies and the state of the team at the All-Star break, and before we get to your text at 609-403-0973, I got to say, they just had on television the All-Star game uniforms. Those things are the biggest abomination I have ever seen. I don't know whose idea it was to say, you know what would be cool? These uniforms. And I haven't decided what they are exactly, but those uniforms are either like the fake uniform somebody uses in like a movie or a comic book or a cartoon that like, hey, we got to make uniforms that look nothing like any team that exists. So we're going to put this on the page or this on the screen. Or they look like they belong in the Tron movies, like Tron Legacy or something. Like, I feel like Jeff Bridges should be like riding the vehicles past like a football game, a baseball game wearing those uniforms. They're so bad. Like, they're futuristic uniforms gone wrong. Baseball and other sports got to stop making these special uniforms. Enough is enough. Nobody in their right mind, if you think these are cool uniforms, you're either not a real sports fan or you're colorblind. That's the only explanation I have. It is absolutely insane that they make these uniforms and then people are ridiculous enough to buy them. Like, we live in a world where people have trouble buying food for their families, but some idiot is going to go buy a Alec Boehm 2024 All-Star Game jersey. Like, it's the dumbest looking thing in the world. Who in their mind thinks that's a good look? Yeah, I'm going to buy that and wear that. You know, I wrote the article earlier today at 973ESPN.com about the most popular Phillies jerseys, like the best-selling ones. And I remember looking through the list, and I was like, you know, I got to admit, I don't know who these people are who are buying the City Connect jerseys. But I've seen them at least. Like, I've seen people wearing the hats. I've seen them wearing the jerseys, right? I see people wearing the pinstripe Phillies jerseys out and about. Never have I ever seen anyone wearing an All-Star Game special jersey for any sport in my life. Not a basketball, not a baseball, not a hockey, not a Pro Bowl. Never have I ever. But yet some imbecile thought, you know what's a good idea? This trash. So I'm glad Bryce Harper said what he said about how they need to get back to wearing the regular uniforms. He's 100% right. Enough of these dumb outfits. It's totally ridiculous. Joey D. and Bentner chimes in. on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says Rob Manfred said he's considering going back to the original team uniforms for the All-Star game again. That's from Joey D. Joey, I hope Rob Manfred is just not, pandering to the fans and he's actually honest. Rob Manfred also said today that they're going to try out the robo-umps during spring training next year. I mean, if any sport is slow to get out of their own way, it's baseball. Yes, robo-ump tomorrow, not spring training. These umpires, this is the problem with Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred is the guy who says, hey, I have a good idea, or hey, this is a good idea, but then takes forever to get around to implementing said good idea. Like, we should have robo umpires now. The fact that these umpires basically dictate the flow of a game because they want to be the big tough guy and tell the manager and the players to get out of here and throw them out of the game and basically make it about them. I don't care about the umpires. The umpires have way too much power to dictate the game. Get the robo umpire. Same thing with the uniforms. Throw the uniforms out tonight. Get rid of these outfits tonight. Burn them. Create a bonfire. Warm up some people. I don't know. I know it's summer. Maybe collect them and create a bonfire in the winter or something, goodness gracious. The whole point of the All-Star game was you tune on the television and you see your favorite team's player with their uniform on the field with all the best player in the game. It was a huge deal in 96 when the Phillies had one All-Star. And it was Ricky Bottalico. Ricky Bottalico literally became what he was that night, what he is now, because as a guy in the media on pre and post game shows and other platforms, because he was the Phillies lone All-Star. But you knew he was the Phillies lone All-Star because you flipped on the game and you knew that my guy is in the All-Star game and he's wearing my team's uniform and I'm going to watch my guy play. That was what it was all about. And back in the day, you couldn't look up on Google on your smartphone who all the All-Stars are. Back then, you'd flip on the game and you learn, oh, that's Walt Weiss who plays for the Rockies. Ah, that's Jeff Cirillo who plays for the Milwaukee Brewers. Ah, that's Greg Jeffries playing for the Cardinals. That's when you learned who some of these guys were. And the whole point of the broadcast was they would tell you stories about who the players were and the seasons they're having. You didn't have a MLB TV. You didn't have the internet. And now it's like baseball is taken for granted the fact that, you can just look up who the player is. Yeah, their uniform looks nothing like their actual uniform, but you'll figure it out. I mean, Paul Skeens is a rookie starting in the All-Star game. His girlfriend is the biggest social media star on the planet, Livy Dunn. The dude is getting a chance to play in the All-Star game. But if I didn't tell you Paul Skeens was starting, you'd flip on the game and be like, who's the guy with the mustache and the weird uniform pitching right now? It's absolutely stupid. George from Summers Point agrees with me at 609-403-0973. I agree with you. Baseball should not be wearing a separate uniform for the All-Star game. One of the best parts of the All-Star game was when the teams actually wore their own uniforms that contribute to the ambiance and unique quality of the baseball All-Star game versus other major league games. That's from George and Summers Point. And George, that's the other part of it. Baseball is the only All-Star game that has any real resemblance to the real game in the regular season. The Pro Bowl is now a flag football game. And even before that, it was it was a cheap version of what you saw in the regular season. At least for the last 20 some years. I know the Pro Bowl in like the 80s and stuff, they're a little more competitive. You look at what the basketball all-star game has become. Ever since guys like Jordan and Kobe left, it's like the all-star game has become a joke. And then the hockey all-star game, I'm still confused about the format. And I'm supposed to be the sports geek. I'm supposed to be the guy telling you how it works. I'm confused. I'm confused how that all-star game is. It's a 3-on-3 competition, but it's a round robin, and everyone plays each other, and then they come out of the round robin, and they play a little tourney, and then the champion is crowned like 3 hours later. Like, it's just too much. Too much. I don't understand why sports don't just do what fans want. Tell the people who are the idea people, you're fired. Call Donald Trump and do the whole you're fired, with the hand pointing at him. Get rid of all of them. I guarantee you can hire some people who are just general sports fans who have a general understanding of marketing and promotion and advertising, and they would do a better job than these people who are probably overpaid and lazy, and they have so much money to spend, they burn it on like a yacht or something because they got paid to make those uniforms. What a joke. All right, let's get to the comments from Jim Duquette. So yesterday on the Sports Bash, Mike Gill had the opportunity to talk with Jim Duquette. And for those who don't remember, Jim Duquette was a long-time general manager in baseball. He was the former general manager of the Mets in the mid-2000s. He also spent time working for the Baltimore Orioles. So he's been around the game of baseball for a good amount of time, actually, if you really think about it. I know that he got one of his first jobs working with the Montreal Expos, worked in the Red Sox organization. So he has been around the baseball world for a long time. And he made a very interesting comment. A couple interesting comments I want to get to. So the conversation was brought up about Brent Rooker, because I know a lot of you Phillies fans, you're salivating over a guy like Brent Rooker. And Duquette, baseball lifer, baseball guy, said this on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill yesterday. And listen to how he describes Rooker and the Phillies' needs. Because I think this explains a lot about who the Phillies are and the kind of player they're not going to get.
If you're Oakland and you have this really good player who's had a really good season, it started slow and he's been on fire lately. He's a big power guy and you have him under control for several more years. He was their all-star last year. The power bat, that's hard to find. There's not a lot of offensive players that are out there and available. Like that, it already comes at a premium. And, if you're Philly, the hard part, for them is they don't need them. Would they like them? Yeah. But, you could find a complementary piece that would fit in just fine, too.
You want him, you don't need him. He's a premium bat. And this gets back to the conversation we had last week on 97.3 ESPN. There are a lot of teams that have a lot of needs heading into the baseball deadline, okay? We are about 14 days from the MLB trade deadline. And you look around baseball and you realize the Phillies are not the first team in line for Brent Rooker. They're really not. You don't think a team like the Twins, a team like the Red Sox, a team like the Royals could all use a Brent Rooker? A team like the Braves with no Ronald Acuna, a mediocre offense like the St. Louis Cardinals. How about the Mets? The Mets got an owner with big pockets. Pirates, they're a contender. They're 1.5 games out of the wild card. All of those teams much more desperately need Brent Rooker than the Phillies do. You heard it. It's a premium bat. all those teams are going to be willing to give up way more than the Phillies are. And I don't mean way more in terms of volume. Okay. I'm not talking about trading 4 or 5 guys more. I mean, giving up the equivalent of the Phillies' Aiden Miller or the prospect Justin Crawford or a prospect like Andrew Painter. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you get. That's what you have to give up for a premium player. Brent Rooker might be one of the best bats available. So if you're talking about a guy who's one of the best bats available, you're telling me the Oakland A's are just going to be okay with a couple of decent players in return for a 29-year-old outfielder who is on pace to have back-to-back 30 home run seasons? Look, I understand that people want to upgrade this offense, and I do too. I am on board with you guys, okay? I'm one of you. I am with you on this. You have to get another right-handed bat. But as Jim Duquette says, the bat needs to replace what Whit Merrifield was supposed to be.
To release Merrifield, if they found a veteran, to kind of replace him and the versatility there, I think you can do something like that. Maybe it's a platoon type situation in the outfield, but I don't think they need to go all in and give up, a huge piece of their future for a Rooker, because they're a pretty well-built team as it is.
And that's part of the key to this conversation. I understand that Dave Dombrowski has run organizations that have given up top prospects in the past for players they absolutely needed. But Dombrowski has tried to stay away from that here in Philadelphia because he came into a disaster from the Andy McPhail, Matt Klentak era. And he realized that the organization needed to rebuild some of their farm system. And the reason why he gave up guys like Mickey Moniak and Logan O'Hoppe was because he desperately needed more pieces in 2022. You don't have Brandon Marsh right now if it wasn't for those trades back then. Now, you could argue that the Angels got the better end of the deal. You gave up 2 players who were not Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford level or caliber type prospects. And now you are watching the Angels have 2 players who are actually playing well for that team. So if you're Dave Dombrowski, yeah, you're glad you got Brandon Marsh for the locker room, for his versatility, but you're also looking around and you're realizing that when you came out of the deadline 2 years ago with Noah Syndergaard and Brandon Marsh, that you gave up a Logan Hoppe who, I get it, he wasn't going to be getting to the majors because he was blocked by guys like JT Realmuto. But the guy's got 14 home runs. He's batting .276 this year for the Angels. And I'm not saying you should have kept Mickey Moniak, but Moniak is nowhere as good of a prospect as the other guys I'm mentioning. And Moniak, since he got to the Angels, over the last 3 seasons, he got 22 homers for a guy who's not a big-time power hitter. He's been a solid player. Again, I'm not saying that Miller and Crawford are anywhere near those guys. I'm saying they're better than those guys. If anybody goes and looks up J.P. Crawford, not Justin Crawford, J.P. Crawford stats. Remember, you traded him a few years ago during the Matt Klentak, Andy McPhail era. The player he has evolved into with the Mariners, again, good player, not great player. Good player, though. We are still talking about prospects who are better than J.P. Crawford, who are better than Logan O'Hoppe, who are better than Mickey Moniak. are you really willing to give up your future, which is already compromised because you basically have $1 billion invested in Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Trey Turner, Zach Wheeler, and Aaron Nola. You basically have $1 billion invested in the 6 players. Are you really going to give up the future of your organization to win just now? Now, on the flip side of all this, as I mentioned, Dave Dombrowski has a history of giving up players and giving up prospects at times to get what he wants. And Jim Duquette said on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill yesterday that he knows what kind of guy Dave Dombrowski is.
You know, a lot of people have kind of said, Dave Dombrowski's only going to just add on to the roster in smaller pieces. I would never assume that with Dave. Dave's going to be a Hall of Fame general manager. I've known him for 25 years, and he's one of the best out there at finding, the right fit. And if he has to spend the extra assets and prospect capital, he'll go do that.
Extra assets and prospect capital is not the same as giving up any of your top prospects. Now, if you can convince the team to take Mick Abel off your hands or Griff McGarry, I'm okay with that if it's the right player. But I'm very hesitant to give up some of the big names out there. 609-403-0973, your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Danny HC chimes in and says the Phillies need a bullpen arm. More importantly, they need Thompson to make better decisions in the playoffs. He blew the championship series last year, trusting Kimbrel. Eye test was obvious. Anyone would be better than Kimbrel. Well, Danny HC, it's not true. Because we saw last year, the numbers showed and the game showed that Kimbrel was very good the majority of the season. Now, if you want to say he went to Kimbrel too many times, baseball history is full of managers going to the wrong guy too many times. But the reason why they lost that series wasn't because of the bullpen and how Thompson managed it. They lost the NLCS because their best hitters like Schwarber and Harper and Turner, they all went ice cold at the plate. This team lost the World Series because of strikeouts. They lost the NLCS because of strikeouts. The offense is what failed them. It wasn't Thompson's managing the bullpen. And you could argue that this is the best bullpen the Phillies have had in like a decade. I'm not overly worried about what the bullpen is going to be or not going to be. Do I think they need another arm? Of course they need another arm. Everyone needs more arms in the bullpen. But you can get that guy without having to give up one of your top prospects to get him. Steven Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, not only does Rooker make your lineup incredibly deep, you can also keep him away from the Braves. Easier said than done. Sports history is full of making moves to stop a guy from going somewhere else. You can't just give up a top prospect just to keep a guy from the Braves. You got to give up somebody because that guy is part of your future plans. That's kind of how I look at it. I'm always concerned that the Philadelphia organization has a history of giving up the wrong guys at times. I know a lot of those guys were way before Dave Dombrowski. They were not Pat Gillick, right? They were not the best GM's organization, but it has happened. And so the last thing you as a Phillies fan want to see is, did you win a World Series in 2024? Yeah, we did. But 10 years from now, Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, or whoever is destroying us because we traded him to the A's or somewhere else. And that guy flipped immediately to go somewhere else because the A's, what do the A's do? They get a prospect, they develop him, and they immediately get rid of him because they can't afford to keep anybody. So you could trade fill in the blank top prospect this year, but a few years from now, that guy could be in Atlanta. That guy could be playing for the Mets. That guy could be playing for the Cardinals or the Cubs or the Dodgers or the Giants or the Padres because the A's never keep anybody. They flip everyone. Brent Rooker's on his third team as is. Bet you didn't know that. Josh Hennick here, 97.3 ESPN. For the MLB All-Star Game is tonight. Coverage begins in about 10 minutes from now on on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget you listen to the game as well on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
These three guys are healthy in the playoffs. They have as high a ceiling as any team in the league besides Boston. I think they're the second best team in the East. It's going to be a question of whether they're healthy, what they can put around them. But the Sixers for a year have been preparing to sign a big player. They got the single best player available in Paul George, and he's a perfect fit with their team.
Wake up weekday mornings with Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman on 97.3 ESPN.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. In Egg Harbor Township, shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
As part of summer's greatest hits, it's the first ever Macy's All-Star Week. Join us for an incredible lineup of live events in-store every day, like fashion shows, beauty demos, and more fun for the family. Now through Tuesday, July 23rd. Plus, shop our best summer deals, like 50% off swim, sandals, and more, and exclusives just for Star Rewards members. You don't want to miss this. Go to Macys.com/events to see what's at your local store. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This radio commercial was made to convince you to stop speeding. We can't use siren sound effects on the radio, so we'll use other equally jarring sound effects to get your attention, like telling you that whether you drive a little over the speed limit or a lot, you can crash just the same. You could hurt yourself or worse, others.
I'm at the scene of the collision.
And the damage you cause will be beyond repair. See, we didn't have to use crash or siren sounds after all. Speeding catches up with you. Brought to you by NHTSA.
There are a lot of so-called fast food deals out there. But do any of them have the Wendy's Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, crispy fries, everyone's favorite nugs, and a drink for just $5 like Wendy's Biggie Bag? Nope. And that's why no other deals can be called the Wendy's Biggie Bag. That and a little thing called plagiarism. When the deal is as fresh as the meal, gotta be Wendy's.
Gotta be fresh. Includes choice of JBC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Again, Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your 4th line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we wrap up the show, I don't necessarily disagree with Dan EHT's point. So I want to acknowledge that. I think from a macro perspective, Dan EHT is right. He says the Harper era needs a title, like the Embiid era needs a title. Do everything it takes to get it done. Prospects are tradable. To which I say, I'm not against trading prospects. I'm sure if you gave me a list, and maybe I'll do this at some point later this week, I can go through the list of the Phillies' top 20 prospects. I guarantee you I can find 10 that I'm definitely comfortable with moving to get what I need. I'm not saying don't trade the prospects. I'm saying there are certain prospects I'm not comfortable with trading. But I agree with you. Big picture, you didn't win a title. I'm filling in for Mike Gill on Sports Bash tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. The Sports Bash is celebrating 15 years on 97.3 ESPN, and we want to celebrate it with you. Come out and party on Happy Hour Friday, July 26th from 2 to 6 p.m. at Giuliano's Pub and Grill, 2264 Ocean Heights Avenue in EHT. Happy Hour Friday Sports Bash specials feature $3.50 Bud Light drafts and $4 neutral vodka seltzers during the show. Come out, enjoy a cold one, and enter to win tickets to see Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins at Citizens Bank Park, celebrating 15 years of the Sports Bash with me, Mike Gill, on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, we'll be out on Select Fridays all summer long to celebrate 15 years of the Sports Bash. So come on out, say hello, tell us when you started listening to the show, come out and have a cold one, and don't forget, enter to win those great Green Day Smashing Pumpkin tickets. Our first Happy Hour Friday event will be at Giuliano's next Friday, July 26th.